Hey, is your son playing right now? How to increase the delay on Streamlabs OBS.
Advanced settings, scroll all the way down here, so you'll see stream. What you want to do is enable it, because if you don't have it enabled and set to 0, you'll get something called natural delay. It's up to 7 minutes, and that's not good in real time interaction. So enable stream delay set to 0, and down to here where it says automatically reconnect, but to enable it, set retry delay to 0. Don't mess with the maximum retries, it doesn't matter. As long as you have this to 0, you won't have a horrible. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, right here, served cutoff point, increase delay. You want that on. But yeah, that's it. I really hope this helps, and just let you know, I never found any so on the video to help out people that may be struggling. This should work. I know for a fact that this will work. So if it doesn't, leave any feedback down in the comments or anything that let me know about. Like, hey, this is happening.
Check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the World Junior Online. I am Coach Brian Wilson, the organizer of this event. First, I want to send a shout out to our sponsor, Wonderful Clothing Line. You see that one with the diamond and inside the rib. You got to check that out at bcwarts.com, and all our future tournaments. You can visit.com. Tomorrow is a Martin Luther King tournament, so that tournament is completely free, guys. If you're playing in this tournament today, just go over to the website, register for tomorrow's tournament at the same time. Actually, it'll be 11 a.m. There's a ceremony for about an hour, guest speaker, there will be a singer. I'm going to say a speech as well. So go to that Martin Luther King chess tournament presented by the Implodians. And go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com to register for that tournament as well. And if you want to play Implodian, go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com and sign up to be an Implodian lesson using our secret system for the public, so you can register for lessons there at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Now, this is the World Junior Online number 6, and let's look through the roster here. There's a lot of games going on, and the games are already in progress. We got a little late start right now. We have 16 total players. Of course, you see Super Chester, who has finished second place in 4 of the 6 World Junior Online. Actually, every time she has played, she was second place, and the last one was really the tournament, and still finished second place at the end because of the also, for those of you who have received your trophies, to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com or the email Implodiumchess@gmail, so that we can post the pictures on the website to celebrate their victory. Let's get into the games here. These are a lot of the games, actually. The games have ended. There's only 3 games left. And we have full happy season. Here. Looking right now, you see that Mouse Black will have the season has the white pieces. What just happened there? There was a queen. Oh, I see. There was a pin. And white was up a queen here, but now comes back. So white was, and full happy season. This would be a upset if this was to occur. Miles Muffin has the let's see, was there some type of under. Queen to d4. Didn't see the rook a2 move, and that just gives the queen right back. And now the move d3 is played, attacking the rook. The rook is going to move away from that. Now, white is still winning because white has two rooks and a rook, but the problem is the b3 pawn is very far advanced. And so what white is going to have to do is take the king all the way to c2. This would be a mistake here to go rook takes a2 because b3 will be a queen. So the bishop controlling the diagonal on a1. You don't want to trade that. It's possible that that's possible there. Or even the move. So he plays king e1. Now he has to watch out for this check. That check probably will pick up the rook here on e1. And so remember guys, when you're playing a 15-minute game, you have to think for at least runs right into bishop d4. After bishop d4, you I would guess maybe rook takes e2, king and it's even material again here. Black is winning. Actually, black will actually be winning by a pawn after this. This is a crucial mistake here. Okay, so there was a trade here. Now bishop takes pawn. Now the problem is as far as this pawn, it's going to be a knight versus a bishop. White should be able to surround the pawn here. It will be 5 pawns versus 5 pawns with a bishop versus a knight on the board. And I would say the knight probably will stand like this. As bishop d4 stops, approach the pawn on b3. Probably best to go knight to d2, attacking pawn on b3. Instead he goes king to d2. I don't know why he did that. You need the knight to attack the pawn. Make the pawn move up to d2 and then go king c2. Because as long as you have the light square control the pawn, and that way you can surround the pawn with the knight here. But the problem is, at this point, the king is going to come in to f4. And that could be a really big problem. That actually is a really big problem, the king entering on f4. The pawn on f3 will be hanging. This is definitely winning for black now. What you really want is to have the knight on e2, which won't be possible down against full 50 season. This is a weird start to the tournament. Check, check, check. Oh. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know I had these effects on. Sorry. No one can hear me because of the clapping. All right. So you didn't hear any of this analysis. Basically, what's happening here is Miles Muffin came back from the dead, was down a queen, down a whole queen. And that but he came back. Looks like Black is winning this game. Those of you who just joining us, I am Coach Wilson. Sorry for the noise. Didn't know the clapping was on. Now it's off. I am Coach Wilson, organizer of the World Junior Online and the leader of the Implodians. If you want to become an Implodian, get lessons. Go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. First time lessons are available to the public. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. It's the same system that we use that we have used to teach 7 top 100 players currently. 7 top 100 players currently. If you want to learn more about that system and sign up for lessons, go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com or contact us at ImplodianChess@gmail. ImplodianChess, IMPLODIAN chess@gmail. What happened here? I don't think that Miles did the best job here. He should have penetrated with the king. So Full Happy Season is trying his best to defend. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Wonderful Clothing Line. They have some really, really nice clothing, guys. They have a really nice logo with a heart, and it's like inside of ribs. And I'm telling you, want to check that out at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. Thank you, Paulina Pedraza, for letting me know what was going on with the sound on this stream. Thank you so much. Also, tomorrow, guys, we have the Martin Luther King Day chess tournament with a special ceremony. And the ceremony starts at 11 a.m., ends at 12 p.m. The tournament starts at 12 p.m. So you guys can sign up for that, and it's free. It's free. Same time as the World Junior Online, 12 o'clock, around the same time control. It's just tomorrow, Monday. And you can sign up for that at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Go to World Junior Online, and you will see the MLK Day chess tournament with special guest speaker. We're going to have a singer to open it up, and I'm going to give a speech. I know you guys want to hear me talk about Martin Luther King, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow at the Martin Luther King Day chess tournament. Register for that as soon as you can, because registration will be closed tomorrow morning. And we're watching Miles Muffin versus Full Happy Season. Both of these kids are veterans to the World Junior Online tournament. Wow, so this move is very interesting here, because there's something sneaky if the Black King takes. Now let me show you guys what happens if King takes here. So wow, he's seen it. That would have been amazing, because if we go back, if King takes on F3, the Knight takes on E5, or I'm sorry, D4, and then King takes here on G7. But I guess the King could also take on E4, so wouldn't be a problem for Black. But there was some trickery in that. As we see, the King is threatening H3. Full Happy Season, he's just waiting here because the Knight is just playing defensive duty on the pawn on F3. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Make sure that you share this video or subscribe to the channel. First thing you want to do is hit the subscribe button. Let's see if we can find. Let's go to another game. These games went by pretty quick in the first round, and we started on time. Nope, this is the last game here. So let's go back to it. So the problem here is that when you have a knight versus a bishop, the bishop can move farther than the knight. Usually when there's pawns on both sides of the board, the knight is usually better. But the biggest problem here with this knight is it's just playing defensive duty on f3. And the key to this endgame, which makes black winning this endgame, which makes black have a winning endgame, is the fact that the king is active. The king is active. And there is a resignation here by black. I'm sorry, by white. So Miles Muffin saves himself after blundering the queen and wins that game. Let's go back to the standings here. Super Chester, of course, she has dominated these tournaments. The thing is, she's missing is a championship. She's been runner-up 4 times. Every time she's played, she's been second place. And second place is a great place. But second place is a good place. She's done well. But she's in first place right now. It's early. Blue EP chess is right there on the board too in second place. Everybody's tied with 1. It's early. Marcel P007, Determined Octopus, Tall Foamy Angel, Mark Sheenan is new. Welcome, Mark Sheenan here. And anytime we have someone new, we want to give them a round of applause. Welcome, Mark Sheenan. Also, we have A-Hill 2020-21 veteran, full happy season. Let's update this because there's no more games. There we go. So A-Hill 2021 Chess Kid PGH. Welcome, Chess Kid PGH. Round of applause for Chess Kid PGH. And also, we have full happy season. Shout out to 10th T, Taste the Pace, Johnny Stick, who's played in this tournament before, Aiden Frank, and Ohadma and Puzzled Expert. Shout out to everybody that registered for this tournament. All right, guys, we will be back around in about 12 minutes. 12 minutes, guys. I'll see you soon. let's get into the games. Let's go Tall Foamy Angel. Marcel P007 is a former World Junior Online champion, I believe. Pretty sure. Has one championship. And we see a center counter, or otherwise called the Scandinavian defense, being played here. This is the one of the main lines. The main line is actually Queen A5, and even you have Queen D6. This is a less accurate line, moving the queen all the way back to D8. The reason why Queen A5 and Queen D6 is more successful is because the queen, you're actually gaining more squares by putting on D6 and A5, and you don't have to waste the whole move by going queen all the way to D8. Marcel has about 2 minutes over his lower rated opponent. So let's check out another game that's still in the beginning there. Let's look at Determined Octopus against Miles Muffin. What is happening here? Wow. Let me see what happened here. Determined Octopus is a Implodian. Okay, and she has black. Miles Muffin has the white pieces. Oh, there was a pawn that was won here, and I don't know why. Oh, I see, because there is a threat of bishop takes G7. She plays knight f6 here, and then there we go. So black is up a pawn in this position. As Determined Octopus thinks for a bit. And then bishop d3 is played. I do not think that bishop takes g2 is that good of a move because of rook to g1. And even though black will be up 2 pawns, it's going to be hard to deal with the pair of bishops aiming at the king side. Plus also the rook on an open file and a knight on g5. That looks too dangerous there. Too many pieces on that side of the board. The king is still in the center. Shouldn't do that. We see now that, ooh. Now there, I think it's even worse that she moves this knight to the center of the board. She should have just castled here. I don't think anything's wrong with castling here. Oh, I guess she was worried about bishop takes f6 and then take on h7. So that makes sense. She's worried about that. But then she plays the move, well, knight to d5, and there's queen check there. This is not a good position at all. Now you allow queen h5. Knight to d5 is just completely losing here. If g6 is played, then bishop takes g6 check. That's not good. If king f8, then you're going to have queen f7 check. Not good either. This is just not good at all. For a Determined Octopus, knight to d5. was not a good move here. And even if king e7, you still have queen f7 check, king to d6. Maybe that's what she has to play, but you do not want, I mean, like playing a position where your king is on d6 is just a matter of time. Actually, I even believe that maybe the move knight to d5 is coming. The king has to go to c6 here. What else? Yeah, it just doesn't look good with your king on c6. So there's a trip that the king has to take. So this is not good here for Determined Octopus, but we're gonna go around to other games. Let's go to the bottom games here. Let's go Puzzled Expert versus Chess Kid, PGH. New to the World Junior Online, welcome. We see both players have castle. We break these things down in imbalances here. I see black is up material, up a rook here. I see 7 pawns, and actually it's a rook and a pawn up for black. Black is dominating this game here. Now, how did this happen? Wow, b4. Oh, and then it's just a lack of controlling the center for white. That's all it is, a lack of controlling the center for white here. Look at the move, bishop d3, that's question number 3. What I mean by question is it's attacking a piece of greater value. Remember the 3 questions. That's the first. I'm giving you guys a tip about being an Implodian. The I stands for initiative in Implodian. Okay, it's just an acronym. Our system is an acronym. So initiative, and give you a free tip, is the 3 questions, and the questions are: every time you set up some chess pieces, you should ask these 3 questions every time before you move. Are there any checks? Question 1. Can a piece be attacked more times to protect it? Question 2. Can a piece be attacked at greater value? Question 3. Those are the 3 questions of chess. As long as you ask those questions, you can stop yourself from making blunders, and you can also find really good moves on your side as well. So the 3 questions is something that you guys should practice to make sure that you ask those questions beforehand. That means it gives you enough time to think so you don't make those mistakes in a chess game. And remember, those questions are there any checks? Not just what you can do, any checks on the board, even what your opponent can do. So when you're looking at the chess game, you're not really looking at just your side. You just want to look at the whole game as a whole. And if you do that, you'll realize that both sides make a perfect game if both players play good moves. And that's why you have so many draws at the top level, because both players are making a perfect game, lacking mistakes, and then from that accuracy, then you get draws a lot of times in those games. So this is what happened here. You see a knight on the rim here. It was a mistake to play knight to g4 because queen takes g4 here. White moves way too fast, so that's what's happening here. And look at black move his knight to the center of the board. There's an en passant there. He goes queen takes h4 instead. And then white doesn't take the knight on e5 with the f pawn. I believe white must be moving too fast, as we see bishop takes f1, king takes, and then it's just a big material advantage for both players. Even though he should have traded queens. Remember, if Sarah had 2 pieces of cake and Jimmy had 1, and they both ate 1 piece of cake, Sarah had 1 left and Jimmy would have 0. So when you have an extra piece, you just want to trade off all the pieces till you get to the end of the game, and you're going to have that 1 knight and pawns versus your opponent's pawns, and that 1 knight that you have can take a couple pawns, and then those extra pawns can become a queen, and you take your queen and your king and you checkmate and make it very, very simple, simplifying the position. And so that's what you want to do. So he should have traded the queens there, but this is just a dominating game by black here. in this game. So let's go around the world. We're here at the World Junior Online Chess Tournament. This is number 6, guys. This is our 6th World Junior Online Tournament. We have a Martin Luther King tournament tomorrow. Make sure you go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Sign up for the Martin Luther King tournament. It's free. It's all on me, guys, because it's MLK Day, one of the best holidays for us. And so we're going to have a ceremony for an hour. Come there, listen to our guest speaker we're going to have at 11:30. We're going to have a song, a professional singer singing on our Zoom call. It's going to be so dope. So you want to come and check that out tomorrow at 11 a.m. You can register for the event. Now, it's free, but you still have to register at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com, MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. And shout out to our sponsors, wonderful clothing line. They have this really sweet logo that's printed on these hoodies and shirts. And you got to check it out. It's like a diamond formed as a heart. I mean, you really got to check out this clothing. You can find that clothing at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. Back to the games. Let's check out A-Hill versus Super Chester. That's my superstar, Sasria Mishra. Super Chester. She has 4 trophies. Super Chester, shout out to Super Chester out there. I need a picture of those trophies, by the way. Gotta get me a picture of those trophies. Wait a minute, though, but what is happening here? A-Hill. Oh, Super Chester is black. Now, let me get this correct. Super Chester is black and A-Hill is white. Looks like Super Chester is missing a queen. This would be a big upset here. Let's see what happened here. We have a London system mixed with B6 here. I like how white expanded with C4 and D4. So white has this space advantage here. And remember, guys, when you have a space advantage, the imploding way is to squeeze. Space advantage is like quicksand. The more they struggle, the worse it gets, right? Because space occupies more squares. It takes away squares from your opponent's pieces. And if your opponent's pieces don't get good squares, eventually they start running out of moves. So as long as you have that space protected, you want to protect that space with everything you have. Your mom, your dad, your pawns, your bishops, your uncle, whoever you have, protect that space. Because as long as that space exists, and that means these 2 pawns in the center that control key squares on black's half of the board, as long as those pawns exist, it just squeezes and takes away opportunities from the opponent. And all you do is wait for the mistakes. And let's see what he does here after queen c2. You see he stops knight e4 here with the queen. There is a trade. Now, when you have less space, a trade or two will relieve your cramped position. And that's what black did there by trading bishop for knight. If black can trade off all the minor pieces, knights and bishops, then she doesn't have to worry about what white space is going to do to her pieces, because her pieces are all traded off. So space is not as important when pieces are traded off. And I mean pieces, I mean bishops and knights, rooks and queens. Those are the pieces I'm talking about. And so she did make a trade here, and she plays d5 because when you're going against someone with a big space advantage, you must attack the space. And with d5, she's attacking c4, so she's trying to equalize in space here. I love how Alex does not react to the attack on c4, just brings the knight to the center of the board. H6 was played, and then we have the move queen to a4, and this is pinned. This is pinned, and the problem is, how do you unpin yourself? So the big problem with Super Chester here is she didn't castle. That's the big problem. She played h6, which wasn't needed at the time. I don't know if she was scared about the pin of bishop on g5, but that was not needed. She could have just castled and avoid the hassle, and the hassle was attacking a piece more times than protected. A-Hill 2020-21 is a new implodian, so he knows the 3 questions, and when you look at what he's doing here, he found the way to attack a piece more times than protected right now. Knight, queen, 2 times. bishop protects 1 time. So that's attacking a piece more times to protect it. The only way black can defend it is the terrible queen d7 after knight takes d7. You're going to be crying. And after queen take d6, the bishop is aiming at the queen with an x-ray through the knight. And then all you have to do is move the knight and probably to c6. No, I'm sorry. You would probably have to go knight g6, probably even better. And then you're going to win the rook in the corner because of the discovery the bishop has on the queen on d6. I know, there was a lot of stuff there. She castled, and then she has to give up the piece. Now, can't she play the move queen to d7? Doesn't that pin the knight to the queen? Does she find it? No, she doesn't find it. Probably because she moved too fast. Guys, when you make a mistake, it's something that as implodians we call crying at the board. You do not want to cry at the chessboard. What that means, you make a mistake and all of a sudden you say, oh my God, I made a mistake. Oh, but in reality, if you would just get up from the chessboard, of course I'm talking about when we're over the board, and if you're in front of the computer, just get up, go walk around and come back and look at your computer screen again with a fresh look, without the emotion. And then what happens is it might not be as bad as you actually think if you know how to break down imbalances. What's different between your position? Yes, you're down material. That's just a difference. Do you have anything positive in your position? But if you react to your emotion because you made a mistake, it's not the initial mistake that's going to hurt you, but it's those 5 moves after that. The 5 moves after that, because you're crying on the chessboard. Not literally, but you're emotional, and then you make 5 moves that are so bad you can never come back from. So here, this is what happened to Super Chester here. She was crying on the chessboard to the point where she didn't realize that she can get her piece back, because after queen d7, that is question number 2. Attacking a piece more times than protected. The knight on c6 by the queen and the knight on c6 by the bishop. There was only one defender, and if the knight moves, queen will take the unprotected queen on a4. She could have got her piece back. Okay, so let that be a lesson to you guys. If you make a mistake, get up, get some water, relax, walk around, come back, fresh look, and break down the chessboard at that point. All right, so she loses a piece here. Now, the one thing that Ahil has to worry about this time, Ahil is winning, but there's something called the winning disease. And the winning disease affects even the strongest players. I forget what grandmaster said this. A legendary grandmaster said the hardest game to win is a 1 game. And this game is winning for white. Up a whole piece. But right now, the pieces that white have is sitting here in not developed, right? So what happens is when you start winning, sometimes you can get relaxed. Oh, I'm winning. I feel good about myself. Oh, I can't wait to get my trophy. My mom is in the crowd. Oh, hi, Mom. All those things. And when you're winning, right? And what happens is your focus is gone. While your opponent is like, oh, my God, I'm losing, right? And it's even worse because they might even be a higher player. And then they're looking for any moment to come back. Oh, if I can just do this. This is give my opponent problems. So they are aware, they are alert. Now, when you're winning, you have to meet them with the same mindset. Same mindset. Oh, what can my opponent do to me? I see you have question 1 right there. You have question 2 right there. I'm taking that away. You got a check? No check for you. Make sure that you convert your game to the win that you deserve. Because in chess, it's not like football where whoever has the most points at the end wins. Basketball, most baskets at the end win. Hockey, soccer, there's never been a team at the end of the game who had lower score that actually won the game. Here in chess, you could have captured all the pieces on the board. But if you get checkmated, you lose, even though you had more pieces. So that's what makes this a unique game, the best game ever. Not in my opinion, it's a fact. And so when you have an advantage like that, you have an extra piece, you want to focus, meet your opponent at the same mindset. Like, okay, I'm going to meet you right there because I know you're going to be aware. and then you will convert the win. So, and also if you have a piece, you got to trade, right? When you have an extra piece, trade off, because at the end of the game, it makes it simple to win with less risk of making a mistake. So you see here, wait, what? Oh, I don't know. Super Chester took on, wow. I don't know why she did that. That was a very surprising move for her to just take that. She normally wouldn't do that. It almost made me think that she's not even playing this. Like maybe her little sister's playing this account. Super Chester, you don't play like this. Please stop your little sister from playing on your account. There's no way I could. It's hard for me to believe that she did that. But it looks like it. So now oh wait, what just happened there? So Ahil gives up the queen, but he's up by a lot of material, so it doesn't matter much. And this should be just a good win. Ahil has traded some pieces, even gave up the queen for a rook, simplified the game. Ahil should be winning this game here, and this is going to be a big giant upset in the World Junior Online here. Shout out to everybody that's joined us on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share it with your friends. If you think this is you think we're doing a good job on this stream, like the video, share it. If not, tell me in the comment section that I am not doing a great job. We take all comments in the comment section, in the chat. All right. Okay, let's go to, all right, let's go to former champion Marcel P007. This looks looks like Black has an extra bishop here and an extra pawn, so Black is in control here. That determined octopus game is over. That game is over. White does win that game. Blue EP chess here. Also a veteran of the WJO tournaments. And Blue EP chess wins that game here. I'm sorry, Mark Shannon, the newcomer, wins the game here. So congratulations to Mark Shannon getting the win there against Blue EP chess. I'm going to refresh here. It's 3 games going on here. Aiden Frank 12 versus 10th Teeth. 10th Teeth also has won multiple trophies in the K5 or K3 section. I believe K3. And that's my homeboy Ethan Chin. What's up, Ethan? And here, Ethan is... Now, this is a very interesting game. You're talking about there is a imbalance of 2 pieces versus a rook and 2 pawns. This game is going to be very interesting because it's not easy to... This is not easy imbalance. So the imbalance is... You always want to note what's different on the board. So 2 pieces versus a rook and 2 pawns. Black's idea is to make one of the extra pawns a pass pawn. You see that he has 3 pawns versus 1 on the queen side. So that's what he wants to do. Does he have enough time to start maneuvering these pawns far enough to where the pass pawn is effective? Okay. Right now, the bishop on e3 is pinned. So that's unfortunate for 10th Teeth because you don't want that pin. I think he probably should have went to g1 and gave himself a luft. A luft is where you move a pawn and you give your king a way to escape in case any other attacks happen on the back rank, which would be the first rank here. So you don't want to get checkmated on the back rank. So a luft will help your king have the ability to escape. And so 10th Teeth, to his advantage, he has 7 minutes to 3 minutes time advantage. Now, remember, guys, this is a 15. Now, what is that? Now he went 95 and immediately I do not know what he was thinking there. Maybe he was thinking he could get a back rank checkmate if this knight was taken, but man, that was a big giant mistake by 10th Teeth, giving up that piece, and now things have changed. There is now a rook and 2 pawns versus a bishop, and the bishop is actually pinned. King is in the center. It's a problem now. So black is definitely winning this game after that last big mistake. Okay, we still have a game going with Ahill and Super Chester. You see Ahill has an extra pawn and extra rook, and also these pawns are passed pawns too. So now that this king is cut off, we might see maybe rook d2 because you want to make it harder for black to try to get 2 pawns or create a pass pawn. So rook d2 first is probably the move, just to defend that pawn on a2. Now he might think he doesn't have to and start the race right away. As we see him check the king and move the king to the corner. And he might be looking for some mating nets here. I do see that there is a possibility of rook to c6 attacking the b6 pawn. Rook c6 attacking the b6 pawn. Or you could just run. You start moving this passed pawn here. It's hard for the rook on a3 to get behind the passed pawn to stop it. So Ahill shouldn't have a problem. Ahill also has a minute advantage, almost a minute advantage on the clock. Unfortunate blunder by Super Chester in the opening of that game. All right, let's travel to another game here. Not many games left, and these games that are left are pretty clear. Now, we didn't look at Tall Foamy Angel versus Marcel P007. This is a game where black has an extra piece. Oh, wow, look at that. So bishop to d3 check. The only thing you could do is block with the queen. And that's going to be checkmate in 2 moves. Well, hold on. Is it checkmate in 2 moves? Let's see. No, because the queen could go to h3. But definitely after queen e2 is forced. And then queen takes e2, king g2. Oh, and then maybe you could play queen back to g. No, can't play queen back to g4. You can actually take the rook if you wanted to. But this is checkmate is coming soon here. Queen e2. Queen takes e2 check. King g2. Where is it? Oh, queen takes f2 check. King h3. And where is our check there? Probably rook. Okay. Very close to checkmate. The king will go to h3. Might have to. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. After king g2, there's queen to f1, check. And he has to go to f3. Where would the check be there? I'll go to king, queen f2. King h3 is the move here. Oh, and then there's bishop to, there you go, bishop to f5 check. And then rook to g4. And then rook to d3 check. And I think that is mate. There it goes. So bishop f5 check. So after king h3, bishop f5 check. Rook g4, and then rook d3. Checkmate. There you go. All right. Took me a while to find it. I'm not as sharp as you guys. You guys are doing Puzzle Rush. Are you guys? Shout out to everybody that's doing Puzzle Rush out there. I know a lot of you kids are doing that on that's on chess.com. Lichess doesn't have, they have puzzles, but nothing like a competitive game like Puzzle Rush. That's on Chess Kid, I believe it's called, as well. Or Puzzle Rush is on chess.com, but Chess Kid also has a Puzzle Rush type of a game. As we see, king h3, bishop f5 check, rook g4, and then rook to d3, game over. But he resigns before that happens, or maybe he lost on time. So let's go back here. We have one game left, and that's Aiden Franklin versus 10th Teeth. This is the game where it's a rook and two pawns versus a bishop. And you see Aiden has pushed this pawn to the b6 square, ready to queen that pawn here. Doesn't look like it's easy to stop that at all. 10th Teeth is thinking here, had a big time advantage, but now it came down. He's thinking really hard to see if he could somehow come back in this. Maybe he's looking at the possibility of going queen takes, but there's no checks, no perpetual check or anything, so that's going to be a hard thing to do. Maybe the move bishop to d2, but then you're going to have queen to d4 and forcing a trade of queens. So might not want to do that. Plays the move queen f3. The move b2, one square away from queening here. All right, so queen d1 stops, controls the b1 square. There's no queen c1 because of the bishop, but he can literally play the move. Actually, I think he could play rook takes e3 and queen c1 and then get the queen that way. But that makes sense as well. Queen to b4 check. That way he can control the b1 square on the next move. And as the king goes to f3, there's going to be another queen that's going to appear. 10th Teeth is in trouble in this game here. I don't see a way, no way that 10th Teeth could get a perpetual check or anything. That's what he's hoping for. As he goes below a minute and 45 seconds. 10th Teeth is Ethan Chen, youngster. From, I think Ethan is he from Cali? I think he's from Cali. He's played in, I think 10th Teeth might have played in all of the WJO tournaments, I believe. Maybe he's missed one. Aiden Frank has played in one, I believe. Aiden Frank from the chess school, Bates Academy. Bates Academy. As you see the move here, attacking a piece more times than protected here, but we should expect maybe queen to, there you go, queen f3. I'm sorry, queen e4 check. Now king g3 will be played. And this is just pretty much over here. Queen to g6 played here. This forces a trade of queens. But as soon as you go queen takes g6, another queen is going to appear on the same square. 10th goes down to 50 seconds. Queen takes g6. Oh, wow. He just plays rook takes there. And queen takes g2. So he's simplifying here. You got queen takes f2 coming. Now the king is cut off to the back rank. Looks like there's going to be a mate with the pawn. Queen d2, king b1, and then queen to b2. Whoa, what's happening here? He had checkmate on b2. So he is using the 2 queens here to checkmate. That wasn't necessary, but he wanted to do a staircase method with the queens. Whatever works. And then there it goes. All right, so Aiden Franklin wins the game against 10th Teeth. That might be a little bit of a upset there. Okay, we're going to... And now that is the end of the second round. The undefeated players so far are A Hill 2021, Miles Muffin, Mark Sheening, newcomer Mark Sheening, and then Marcel P007, former champion. I don't know. I think Miles Muffin, has he won a championship yet? I'm not sure. But I know Marcel P007 is a former WJO champion. A Hill 2021 being on top of that is a great performance so far by A Hill 2021. And then the rest of the first page is Tall Foamy Angel, Determined Octopus, Blue EP Chess, Johnny Stick, Aiden Frank, and Super Chester. All right, we will be back in about 13 minutes. See you soon. Welcome back. We are getting ready to start our next round. Remember, you can sign up for our future tournaments. We have a whole January slate of tournaments, so you can sign up for them before they even happen. Pre-register for those tournaments at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Pre-register for our future January tournaments, MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. We have a Martin Luther King Day tournament tomorrow. You can register for that as well. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com to register for the Martin Luther King tournament. That's free. Free. You know, and of course there is donation accepted because we got to pay for trophies, but we're going to have that covered free for you. So go there and sign up now. Sign up now. Kids don't, I'm sorry. There's adults allowed in the Martin Luther King tournament as well. So it's free for everyone there. Free for everyone. As the games are just starting. Okay, let's see. What game should we see here? Let's start with Ahil, the surprise of the tournament so far. Beating Super Chester. Big upset in the first round. This round, Ahil has the black pieces, and we see a Carol Khan. And so what's happening here is White has these two nice pawns in the center, which gives White a lasting advantage. Of course, we talked about space earlier in the last round, but also there is a strategy when you're facing the two pawns in the center of what to do. Now here, Black's whole strategy when you're playing the Carol Khan is to attack these pawns in the center immediately. And hopefully will encourage a pawn to come forward. So for instance, this pawn goes to e5, then that makes it easier for Black's pieces to surround that one pawn and make that pawn a target. So hopefully we can actually win one of those pawns for free as they are advanced a little too far to our side of the board. So here, White did not push the pawn here. White keeps the pawn on e4, which I think is an excellent choice. And you see how Ahil is choosing to develop the bishop to the long diagonal here. There he can put pressure on the pawn on d4. That makes a lot of sense too. As we see, but there is a problem. I didn't notice this. Bishop to e5 attacks the rook in the corner, so he's going to have to move the rook. He's going to have to move that rook to g8, which means his king cannot castle to the king side anymore. So already Black is having some opening issues here. So Black is, in order to castle, Black is going to have to figure out a configuration of pieces to move the queen, bishop, and knight out of the way in order to castle to the queen side. Now, in some situations, it's okay to have your king in the center if you have confidence that the center cannot be open. What I mean by that, pawns being traded in the center. So the pawn on e6 and d5 and f7 protect Black's king. If those pawns are traded, pawn for pawn, that open up files and lines to where the king is, and that could be a problem. So if that situation can be prevented, then it's okay to keep your king in the center. That's when you can keep your king in the center, when the center cannot be open, especially when the center is locked. But right now, there is a pawn trade here that could open up the e file. But right now, White's pieces are not in a position to do anything to Black right now. But Black has to be very careful going forward. As we probably should see the move knight to d7. From here, you're covering the f6 square. You are threatening to trade this knight here because you're going to need to make some trades to get rid of this spatial cramp that White has on Black here. So Marcel P007 showing exactly how to use the space advantage. As we see the move h6. See, that is not helping development. So I do not like the move h6 for Ahil here, because it doesn't help development. And Ahil really wants to develop all those pieces to, and then maybe trade some pieces to get rid of the spatial cramp that he's going to be under. For instance, look at the bishop on c8. If all the pawns stay on light squares, the bishop on c8 won't be a good piece. So if anything, instead of h6, he could have played b6 with the idea of bishop a6. Because when you have a bad bishop, now what's a bad bishop? A bishop that's the same color as the center pawns. Because those center pawns stop the bishop from freely moving. So the bishop on c8 here is a bad bishop. Now when you have one of those bishops, you do one of three things. You get the bishop outside the pawn chain, or trade the bishop for an equal piece, equal valued piece, or remove the pawn from the center so the bishop can then become a good piece. So here, Ahil did go d takes. Now, Ahil gives up his best pawn that controls the center. Now, look what he did here. He encourages the knight to go to... Now, that was a serious blunder by Ahil to take on e4. Now, there is a knight f6 coming, or a knight d6 coming. By the way, it'd be terrible to allow knight f6 because, guys, that's checkmate with a knight. The knight will cover the square d7 as well as check the king, and the king can't move because the knight is on e7. So knight f6 is just checkmate in one move. So the worst thing he could do is think like, okay, let me move my rook out of the way, which he still can't even move the rook out of the way. So this is definitely a winning position out of the opening for Marcel P007, and probably because Ahil kind of moved kind of quick in that opening. He kind of said, hey, I'm going to do what I want to do without thinking about what I should do, right? And now he has to do what he has to do in order to survive. And so that's why, guys, make sure you use your 15 seconds per move. If you get to the opening, now a lot of you guys say, I know the opening. Well, okay, cool. When you get to a point where you're not familiar, then relax, chill out, stop. As we see the move f5, probably going to play it now. Now he could have looked at the move knight to. He could have looked at that move there. That was, that would have been a decent move here. Now, yes, white has won the exchange, but it felt like he should have won more than just the exchange. It does feel like he should have won more than just the rook here. And now I think Ahil's kind of happy to have that resolved, even though there's a weak e5 square. So, yeah, so we're going to go to another game. Looks like Marcel P007 is in excellent form. That's the battle of the two unbeaten players there. Okay, next we have Mark Sheenan. Another battle of the unbeaten players is Mark Sheenan versus Miles Muffin. Mark Sheenan is new to the WJO. And looks like he's doing good already because it looks like someone doesn't have a queen. So I see knight and bishop. I see bishop. There's a bishop and rook in this position versus a queen. Wow. Now the king, black's king is in the center, so that could be a problem. As you see okay, so what's happening here? He plays bishop to e8, maybe queen e6 is coming. Would this be a draw, actually? Looks like black has a draw if he wants to, because the queen only could go to the e6 square. And then you could play the move bishop to d7. He only can go to the... Now, of course, he could take one of these pieces, but he would be losing his queen, and then black at that point would be winning. If black wants to draw right now, he can continue to play bishop d7 and bishop e8. If I was Miles Muffin in a position like this... Now, black actually... Yes, if I was Miles Muffin, I would want to draw. The bishop and rook won't be enough. But he doesn't take that. So now white can flee here with queen to g4 or queen h3. Can move out of the way now. Now Mark Sheenan pulls this off here. Mark Sheenan is white here. This would be another pretty decent upset for Mark Sheenan. Oh no, Mark Sheenan is 743 in online quick rating. So you're talking about facing a player that's 1144 in online quick rating. So this will be a significant upset if Mark Sheenan could pull this out. Now, how did this happen? Because, you just lose the queen here. Oh, so this is... I see. So Miles Muffin goes queen takes g5. Wait, what? Is this a free piece here by white? Oh, and then Miles just blunders his queen, moving too fast. He didn't notice the bishop was attacking the queen. And then once he goes bishop takes d4, then he loses his queen there. It's been a lot of that. Actually, this is the second game where Miles Muffin actually blundered the queen. And the last game he came back to win this game. Now, you see here he is attacking the rook here in the corner. Wow. Maybe Miles is doing this on purpose to see if he can win these games. But this is going to be a bishop and rook versus a queen. The problem is, look at the king in the center of the board. Definitely covered by this triangle of pawns. This knight is not a good piece. But tell you the truth, hey, black is going to eventually start getting pieces out. You're looking at moves like knight to c6. Maybe we go to a5 and be able to reroute ourselves to the c4 square. Definitely bishop to f7 could be coming. Aiming at the h2 square because there's no weaknesses here. He plays a5 here. And this is going to be a really good game. We're going to come back to this game. Okay. 6 games going on right now. Let's go to Johnny Stick here. Johnny Stick. Jonathan Burr from Bates Academy. Really nice, really strong chess team in the city of Detroit. We see equal pawns here. The imbalances is a knight versus a bishop. That's very important. Notice that white is using this knight here, Super Chester versus Johnny Stick. We're looking at the move knight to g6, and that's checkmate. Knight g6 is threatening checkmate, guys. So he has to stop that somehow. But how do you? Maybe what he has to do is play the move g5, knight g6, and then king g7. That's probably what you have to do there. Just g5, but then probably the move knight f5 comes instead of knight g6. And okay, so this is what he chooses to do, but he's going to lose the bishop here because after knight to g6, you're forced to go to king e8, and then you have rook takes e7 check. Rook takes e7 check, or you can try to go queen to g8, king d7, and then rook takes e7 check here, but I don't think that's as good as the other options. There's also a queen c6 check. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. Now, he did play the move queen to g8. Now, this does win a lot of material here. The question is, can the knight get out of the corner? That's the question. So you can play rook takes g7 check. If queen takes g7, knight takes g7, rook takes g8, and then the knight takes on g8. Problem is the knight is stuck. And the king could wander over here and snap that knight off. And so it's just going to be 5 pawns versus 5 pawns. That makes sense. Queen e6 check. Now the king is forced to go back to the e8 square, and then you could go knight takes e7, or just simply simplify the game with queen takes e7 check. So it makes a lot of sense. Maybe the move knight takes e7 is better. You're hitting a rook here on c8. That might be better there. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat on the Implodian Chess YouTube channel. That's who we are. We are Implodians. And why are we Implodians? Because we use this special system called Implods. And it's a way to read the board by breaking down the differences, which are called imbalances. If you are interested in becoming an Implodian, hit us up at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. We're open for the first time to people outside of the state of Michigan. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com, or hit us up at ImplodianChess@gmail. IMPLODIAN chess@gmail. We can get you some lessons with one of our high qualified trainers. We have trained over on lifetime over 20 top 100 kids, but just this year alone we have 7 top 100 kids in their grade level. As we see, knight g6 checkmate. Super Chester is back on her horse, winning her game here in good fashion, showing how to use that knight and queen combination against a king is the best combination, because the knight can do things the queen can't do. If you put those two pieces together, there's no better mating combination. The mating combination against a castle king than those two pieces. All right, so let's go to let's go here. No, this doesn't look good. Determined Octopus is definitely winning this game against Taste the Pace. 2 pieces up. So let's go somewhere else. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Wonderful Clothing Line. Check out that clothing line at BCW Arts. I'm guaranteed if you go check it out and you see those designs by a young man attending the University of Michigan Fashion and Design School, has his own clothing line. So we want to support that. Anytime our young people bring the entrepreneurial spirit, we want to support them as Americans. So make sure that you go to Wonderful clothing line. You can see that clothing line at bcwart.com. You can see it on our ticker. Let's see. How many games do we have left now? We have 5 games here. I'm looking at this game. Let's go to this Aiden Frank game versus Blue EP Chess. Blue EP Chess, I see, is up no, I'm sorry, not up. This is a checkmate. So what a checkmate by Aiden Frank against Blue EP Chess. And Aiden Frank has won, I believe, 2 in a row. So really good checkmate there. And let's look at Puzzled Expert versus Tall Foamy Angel. And this position, Tall Foamy Angel has an extra rook and plus 2 extra pawns. So usually this would be a win for white, as long as Puzzled Expert, long as Tall Foamy Angel doesn't get the winning disease, he can win this with the black pieces pretty easy, having an extra rook and 2 extra pawns. So let's go to another game here. Let's check out this game here. We have a queen and bishop versus a knight and 2 rooks. So the imbalance here is very interesting. Remember, Miles Muffin seems to think in these games he's going to just sacrifice his queen every game and come back. Because now I actually think Miles Muffin is completely okay here. This knight is on e6. The bishop only controls the dark squares here. So, and then we're going to start now. Black is going to start trying to move these pawns up here. You see 3 versus 2 pawns here. Creating a passed pawn is on Black's mind. And so I think Black is better in this position. And so Mark Sheenan, has to be very careful, because I don't see any entry points. The problem is Black has defended everything. There's nothing hanging. Maybe you could see the move like Queen E2, because the pawn on B5 is not protected. But then you're going to see moves like Rook to B6 after that. He plays King F2. I don't know what his plan is. Maybe his plan is to bring the king to the center. But I know what Black's plan should be. Black's plan should be to put 2 rooks behind the B pawn and play c5, c4, and then get the b3 pawn push in. This makes sense too. It does make sense, even though queen e2 stops rook takes c2. So maybe his plan is actually Miles Muffin looks like maybe he would like to play rook to c5, bring the other rook to b8, and then bring the other rook behind. So he's just gonna like hop this rook over here and then double attack the pawn on c2. That works too. You can start with rook c4 because it attacks the d5 pawn. That's one thing he can start with. So he plays the move b4 here. So Miles Muffin is definitely winning this game. And I don't like this quick move by Mark Sheenan. Played this move in seconds. Not even a second. Played king f3. Looks like he is planning maybe to go king g4 and then king to f5 and move the king to g6 maybe? Is he planning an attack with the king and early? That's going to be very interesting. Now here he has to watch out for a knight to d4 check because the pawn on e3 is pinned and the pawn on c2 could be a problem here. So, but now he plays bishop to e1. Knight to d4 shouldn't work here. Shouldn't work because of king f2. But I will say this, the move knight to g5 looks tasty. As he moves rook c5 here. This is a really good game. So this game here, and also let's check in on the game Ahill versus Marcel here. Remember, Ahill had the disadvantage of, he had a exchange he gave up in the opening. A very bad opening played by Ahill. But here, it's still a rook and a pawn versus what? A rook and a pawn versus a bishop. Or versus a knight. Now, this knight is very strong. As Ahill goes for trading of the pieces, that is interesting here. Now, what Ahill wanted to do is wanted white to play f4 so his knight can have a permanent home, maybe on e4 square, but that's not the case here. I can see f3 being played eventually. Right now, Ahill is threatening knight takes f2. So Marcel, who is a veteran of these tournaments, he's not going to move fast. He plays rook f1, protecting the move, the knight, the f2 pawn. Now f3 is real. Ahill plays. Now I don't like how Ahill just made the move quickly. He just played f takes g4. It was fast. You didn't need to have it to be that fast. So I don't like that. And Ahill is down in time here, 2 minutes to 8 minutes. So this is going to be a big mountain to climb for Ahill. Now we're going to see the move f3 here. You're going to have to move to, oh, f4 is played. That makes some sense because you want to open up the file where the king is. So here we see the move king to g6. But you gotta watch Ahill. He can be slippery with the tactics, but right now it's hard to do any tactics when Ahill's bishop and rook are not developed. So, but the one positive is Ahill does have a better king. Bishop to d1, quick move. So we don't want to see those quick moves. But maybe the reason why is because there is a rook to g1 check. Ahill plays king to h4. That is a blunder because of rook to f4. That skewers the... Oh, and he misses rook f4, which would win the knight. He goes for the pin instead. But really what I think Marcel P007 is doing is he wants to play rook g1 and then bring the other rook to h8 for checkmate. That's really what's happening here. All right, so now the move rook to, okay. Now, in order for him to survive, he has to play knight f2, but that is going to be just momentary after rook takes f2 check. Okay, he does play knight to g3. That way he has a bridge. But hey, we can take his bridge right now by playing bishop to f3. But look at how Marcel is just attacking weaknesses. He's threatening checkmate. Now he doubles the rooks. And he's going to win the bishop on c8. This is clearly a one game for Marcel, P007. Great opening play. Marcel is going to be a hard player to beat. Is he going to be our first repeat champion? I don't think we've had a repeat champion, which is actually a good thing, I think. Okay, let's go to another game. I think we had two games here. Mark Sheenan game here. Look at this. Now we see a game where Miles Muffin has a knight and white has nothing but the king. Miles Muffin has blundered his queen again and is able to come back out of nowhere again. Love the move c6. Stops the king from entering into the game. Still have the threat of knight takes e4. I like the patience from Miles Muffin. Not panicking. Not crying at the chessboard. We talked about that in one of our rounds. Do not want to cry at the chessboard. You make a mistake. Miles Muffin blundered the queen 2 times and winning both games. Won the last game. Still has some work to do here, but it's clearly a winning game here after blundering your queen. Now, I would say to Miles, don't get in the habit of blundering your queen, bro. You don't want to keep doing that. That's not a good method of winning. But really instructive way, instructive games for Miles Muffin, showing us how to come back and dealing with adversity on the chessboard as he plays knight takes e4. He's going to start picking off these pawns. Knight g3, knight takes h5, queen one of these pawns on, creating a passer on the queen side. Pretty simple. Notice how he prevented the king from getting any type of counterplay. There's no king b5 attacking my a5 pawn. There's no king to b4. The king doesn't have any squares but the b3 and d3 squares. And here he could play the move knight g3, or he can just play f5 and just squeeze his opponent even more, keeping the knight in that centralized square as he plays knight to c5. And this is just clearly winning for Miles Muffin here in round 3. Shout out to everybody that's joining us at the YouTube channel, Implodian Chess YouTube. On this channel, you're going to see me sometimes stream on this channel. I did stream recently on the Implodian channel, me playing games. I don't play much, but when I do, sometimes you might see a stream pop up on the Implodian Chess channel. And in my streams, I am trying to instruct and help you guys play better in my stream as I stream through it. Kind of going through what the system is, the Implodian system, which I agree, I think is the best system. Also, seconded by Timur Gureyev, Grandmaster Timur Gureyev. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that system, you can always hit us up at implodianchess@gmail. implodianchess@gmail. As we see Mark Sheenan here, it's his move e4, king f3. This is just a complete win here for Miles Muffin. Are there any other games here? Is there any other games in the house? Nope. The only game left is Miles Muffin. As we're going to complete our third round. I believe, guys, this tournament is going to end earlier than we thought. It's 2 o'clock Eastern time, and we're about to finish our third round. So we might be looking at a 3 o'clock finish, maybe a little bit after 3. So that's good that everybody can get can be done earlier. Now, what Miles has to watch out for is any stalemates. You don't want to stalemate Black's King. Now, how could you do that? If you played the move, let's say you played the move. Oh, no, it's White's turn, so White had to play a move, and there you go. And now this is going to be a queen. Can't stop it. Now, Mark Sheenan could resign here, but hoping for some type of stalemate here. So look at that. But see, he plays this move because he doesn't have any more pawn moves, but he does have King F5. So that was the problem. If Black would have played something like G6, that would have been a stalemate. King G6 here. And then now you have G8 and King H8, those 2 squares available. Now you have all these squares available here, giving them plenty of room to go wrong. Have to take one of these pawns here. King takes G6. And now he's going to be forced to go to H7. Maybe bring in the knight. Oh, so he... All right, so King H6 should be the move. Okay, so he gives him a way to move here. King to G8. He's going to bring the king over now. Oh, he brings a knight instead. Now you have King H8 and then Queen G7, and there's checkmate. All right, so let's check out the standings now. Who will be World Junior Online number 6 champion today? Who's in the running? As we refresh our standings, Miles Muffin is 3-0 with 2 queen sacrifices. I don't know if he sacrificed it. It looks like blunders, but still 3-0 is 3-0. And then Marcel P007, former champion. They are running. They're running towards a crash, a head-on collision with each other. Probably next round you will see Miles Muffin and Marcel P007 playing each other. A Heel has 2 points, lost his first round there, comes up in 3rd place. Tall Foamy Angel has 2. Determined Octopus, Aiden Frank, Super Chester on her way back, trying to reach the top, want to finish off strong. Mark Sheenan, Johnny Stick, and Blue EP Chess finish off the first page. All right, guys, we will be back in around 12 minutes. See you soon. What the what? We are back, and let's just get into the games here. First, let's look at the Miles Muffin versus. This is the matchup. As we see a Scandinavian defense here, and the Scandinavian defense is signaled by d5, attacking the unprotected e4 pawn right away. The negative part about the Scandinavian is the queen has to come out early, and then there will be a tempo with this knight that attacks the queen. The thing with this knight attacking a queen, the reason why this is an okay defense to play for black, is once black's moves, usually is queen d6 or queen a5, white is not able to get the 2 pawns in the center like white wants to, because the knight actually blocks the c4 pawn. So once he plays d4, that pawn is easier to attack because there's no other pawn that can defend it, so black will surround that pawn and put pressure on that pawn, usually by castling queenside, where you have a rook and queen battery attacking the d4 square. So that's the whole idea of the Scandinavian, even though Marcel goes all the way back, which is not recommended because it doesn't help you put pressure on the d file by casting to that side of the board. So we see some normal development here, some trades here by Marcel P007. And a6 is played here. So white is better here. Miles Muffin, who has white, is better because of the d4 pawn. And now by him moving the knight to e2, he can play c3 and solidify the d4 pawn, which gives him a space advantage. And as long as that pawn is there on d4, stopping e5, the problem is this bishop on b7 or c8 is hard to develop this bishop to a good square. You can develop to the d7, and that's better than any square, but it's blocked by its own pawn, so the bishop is not a good piece. It's actually called a bad bishop because it's blocked by a center pawn. You can also try to play b6 here. But the problem with that could be bishop to b5. Oh, I'm sorry, no bishop b5, but b6. It could be a d5 move that you have to watch out for, but I guess b6 and bishop b7 is a good way to develop the bishop here on a longer diagonal. Black castles, nothing wrong with castling, and white probably is going to castle as well. I think maybe castle king side is better than castling to the queen side here. Black is going to look to play b4, maybe even b5, kicking the knight backwards to probably e7, gaining space on the queen side. White has to watch out for knight e4 here. Knight e4 looks like a good perch for the knight to sit on. Attacking the queen, and maybe the move f5 could be played there too. So white has to watch out for that, but then that does make this pawn e6 a backward pawn. Right here, what I would do here as Miles, as black here, I would play b6. You gotta get this bishop here to a good diagonal, because white has a space advantage, and you want to have all your pieces in position to deal with that space advantage. Usually you would like to attack the space with e5 or c5. The problem is there's no c5 here because the knight was played on c6. So you can't play c5 to attack that space. E5 is not possible without losing a pawn. Actually, hold on. E5 is actually possible. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Because after d takes e5, there is queen takes d2, knight takes d2, and then you take the pawn back with the knight. So that's why it's possible. So e5 was possible here. As he plays rook e8. Now, I am scared that Marcel will lose the, he's going to forget about the bishop. That's what I'm scared of here. As we see knight to g3, stopping knight e4. Maybe e4, e5 can be played now. Actually, I think it can be played. You have to watch out for the move knight to g5 because f7 will now be attacked by the bishop on c4. Shout out to everybody that's watching in the chat here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, share it, tell all your friends about what we're doing here at Implodians Presents. Implodians Presents is a group of kids that use a system called Implots. We also throw tournaments. Implodian presents the World Junior Online. Implodians presents Sunday Swiss. That's our open tournament where we have feature a Grandmaster every time. Open to everyone. And also we have Implodians presents the Junior Arena, and that is coming soon. I can't wait till that happens. Let me explain what that is. We're going to have teams, guys, and a draft. So all of you guys will be in a big database. And we got special teams that are going to be made up. And we're going to draft 5 players to each team. And we're going to play each other each week. Oh, man, it's going to be so nice, guys. So you want to sign up for that. Once them details come out, we want to sign up for that, too. We're doing a lot of things here at the World Junior Online Tournament and Implodians Presents. As we see, Miles Muffin strengthens his protection of the d4 pawn. See knight to d5. Of course, when you have a space advantage, guys, like I said before, you don't want to trade. So here I will look at playing the move maybe bishop to d3 or c3. Solidifying my space. Miles does play bishop g3. And gotta watch it here because there's knight g5. There's a lot of things here coming. Look at this. 2 knights here. This bishop and the pawn on d4. Gotta watch out for this here. But I will say this bishop d3 move. I would have liked to play c3 first because there's a knight to b4 that can be played. And remember, the person who has the less space, who doesn't have as much space, and then we're talking about the pawns that control your opponent's half of the board. Half of the board. So this pawn controls black's half of the board. Whoever has less space, it's a good idea to trade some pieces. So right now, I am scared that Marcel is being a little bit too lackadaisical and not really thinking about exactly what's happening here. And it's getting very dangerous with these knights and bishops and queens on this side of the board. So even here, he can try to play the move knight to h6, knight to g5, threatening h7. He goes knight h5 here, so this is going to be after g6. G6 could be played. G6 could be played here. I would look at a pawn sacrifice after g6 and play the move knight to g5. Because after g takes h5, we have bishop takes h7, and I think that's just a big mess and it's good for white. But now Marcel has to really, really be careful here as he falls behind more than 3 minutes behind his opponent's Miles Muffin. Maybe he could play the move knight to b4 now, getting rid of the bishop right away. So he goes knight to f6. That makes some sense too. There could be a queen to g5 move where you're threatening mate in 1. And after queen g5, there's knight takes h5, queen takes h5, and you're threatening the h7 pawn there too. So this is still tough here, and it's mainly because of the space advantage. Remember, guys, space never gets credit for these attacks. But the space stops knight e5, stops e5. It made it hard to get black's pieces to good squares to defend himself like he should be able to do. So this bishop that should have been traded, remember guys, when you're down in space, you want to trade pieces to relieve your cramped pieces. That bishop that should have been traded with knight to b4 is going to become a monster on this diagonal. So after knight to h5, we're going to see queen h5 here, and then there will be a h6 play to save h7 or a g6 play to save h7. We just don't know here. I wonder, was he thinking about sacrificing first with bishop takes h7, king takes, queen takes h5, and then knight to g5. Ooh, that might have been a strong move. Bishop takes h7, check. King takes h7, queen to h5, check, king g8, and then knight g5. Oh man, that could have been a strong move there. That could be very, very strong there. But okay. H6 was played here. Now he plays the move C3. C3 was played there. I thought maybe... Now, that was a quick move. I don't like that move from Miles Muffin. It's too quick. Thought maybe he could have tried knight e5 here, which was threatening f7, knight e5. And the cool thing about knight e5 is if he takes here, then the pawn winds up on e5, and then there's a rook on the same file as the queen along with the bishop. So that's why I think knight e5 was a good move in this position. Or you could have played knight... No, knight g5 doesn't work. But knight e5 definitely was a strong move. We see rook e1. Miles is just strengthening his position here. Open file here. He's getting ready for knight e5, taking his time. Maybe the move to be played here is rook to d8. Because of knight e5 now, you could play rook to d5 maybe. No, because then there will be a c4 push. So maybe rook d5 is a little bit, too much to ask for. So after knight e5, you can just probably simply just take that. So here he plays bishop to e4. So his plan is actually to take the knight and then place his knight on e5. That's an excellent plan by Miles Muffin there. Excellent plan. So this is the battle of the two undefeated players. Let's go on to another game. We'll come back to this game. All right, let's see here. We have 7 games still going. Let's look at Ahill versus Determined Octopus. Wow, we have a game where Determined Octopus has 2 extra pawns. And so black is definitely winning in this game. Also, it looks like both players must have been moving pretty fast to get to an endgame this quickly. But you see there is tension with a3 and b4. There's a pass pawn headed with the d6 push. Sorry, d4 pawn push is threatened here. There is 2 rooks on the 7th rank, but this rook on f5 guards f7, so black doesn't have to worry about that at all. And so Ahill it has his work cut out for him here for sure. Now I see that maybe Ahill could try to take here and pressure the b4 pawn with rook to b7. That's possible. But this is a battle. I think both of these players are in the they are in the top 10 of the tournament. We'll come back to that. Let's go to Tall Foamy Angel versus Super Chester. Super Chester had a disappointing loss earlier, but she has righted the ship. What is this saying there, guys? I don't know. Corrected the ship. I don't know what the saying is, but she's got it back on track. As you see her with the fork, E3 and C3 is forked here. You can't save both of them. You can only save one. So Tall Foamy Angel chooses to save the bishop on F4. And then now you can see just a simple D takes C3, wins a piece. And Super Chester is back in business. As she's in 7th place. Aiden Frank versus Mark Sheenan are on the top, the first page too. This is also an in-game where black has an extra pawn. Mark Sheenan. And Aiden Frank. Wait, what is going on here? Okay. Let's go back here. Black is definitely looks better in this position for sure. As you see, black is pushing the pass pawn forward. We might see the move rook takes g6. Can white defend this position with 2 pass pawns here? As we see, rook takes g6 and a better king. So you got to look at black's king is so much better here. Maybe he goes, no, okay, so he did go rook to e6. His plan is to push his own pass pawn here, as he does. Oh, look at that. Oh, he missed the check. Wow, guys. Don't move fast. You have 15 minutes. This was a check that was missed here. And guess what? It's over now because of that. He had to sacrifice his rook, but oh man, Aiden Frank, what a blunder by black here. Black plays the move d3. There was a rook takes e3 check. Rook takes e3 check, which would not only check the king, but it also protects the pawn on h3. And so once you play that check, now white is the only one that could win at this point. But then white made a quick move without looking at checks first, question number 1. And then now black gets a check here, and he has to sacrifice. And tell you the truth, this is pretty much over. As he takes the queen here, and that's it, guys. So it's all about patience. When you have so much time, being patient, there's no reward in moving fast at all. Okay, no reward in that. All right. Let's go to another game. We got Taste of Pace versus Full Happy Season. Man, it looks like Full Happy Season has won that game. Okay, and then Puzzled Expert is playing 10th Teeth. Puzzle Expert has a queen advantage here against 10th Teeth. And also, but the knight, the problem here is the knight is trapped. So black can easily get out of this in a couple different ways. He could play, oh, that was an excellent move by Puzzled Expert. So now if you take the knight, he's just going to take the knight on. If you take on h3, then black takes on f3. And black is winning this game here, which this probably is another upset here. See how this happened. Okay, nothing wrong here. Oh, wow. There was a pin of the queen to the king. Wins that. Then there's a fork here. Wow. Then able to rescue the knight too. Wow. And then another piece. Wow. And yeah, this looks to be pretty. This is pretty decisive here. Now Possessor is just looking at the move. Queen takes f3, and after king takes h3, you just drop the rook down below and then bring the rook to h1, and then that should be checkmate. So let's go to another game. How many games do we have left here? It's 5 games. Okay, let's go back to our top game here. Miles Muffin versus Marcel Pete 007. Both players are undefeated. The World Junior Online number 6. See, they both have the same amount of material. The problem is there's a knight on the rim here. And Marcel is going to have to pull this knight. Now, Marcel also is down in time. You're talking about 11 minutes to 3 minutes left. And what is he thinking here? He had to go to b7. Oh, he didn't want to lose the pawn. That's what his problem was there. Okay. What do we have here? We have the move queen to f5. That attacks the rook here. You also have knight to d6. That looks like a move that could be played. Oh, or what about the move rook takes? Now, this is actually really nice by Marcel. Marcel misses that, But what if we did go rook takes here? Oh, he would go rook takes, and then we would be able to go rook takes here. So no, he could go rook takes e5. So nope. Marcel did okay. Played knight here. And now what? Do we play maybe knight f5? Okay, did play knight f5. Now that Miles has gained his pawn, he's probably should move his queen all the way back to the center. Remember, guys, when you win material, sometimes you'll find that your pieces are out of place, and you want to bring those pieces back to the center. As we see, knight c6. What could he play here? He wants to keep this knight on c6 probably with the move b5, but as we see, rook to d6, maybe the move b5 can be played here. But I will say this, if he plays b5, this queen is so far away from the action. As he does play queen c8, that makes a lot of sense. Now we're gonna have to play something like king to g7, and then this probably wins the pawn, but it just feels weird that this queen is all the way back in the back. It feels like there could be some type of traps here. So it just does feel weird. You have moves like, I don't know, e5 here. It feels very weird here after queen c7. It does feel kind of weird. As Marcel has 2 minutes left to Miles Muffin 10 minutes. As Marcel is thinking here, and I'm thinking too. Something is happening here. Just don't know what it is. You can't play e5 because you have the queen and the rook attacking the knight twice, but then he just goes knight takes e5, and I don't see anything there. Okay, so he did choose to play rook to d7, probably expecting to move queen takes b6, and then bringing the other rook and pinning the knight with rook to d6. So white is up a bunch of pawns here. It's all about the queen. If he could get the queen and knight out safely, the knight can actually be protected by b5. Marcel has 1 minute and 30 seconds. That does not help being black here. Uh-oh. Knight to d6 here. Now, here I think Marcel is coming up with a pretty decent plan, even though I do think knight to e5 probably ruins everything, actually, now that I'm looking at it. Knight to e5 stops knight c4. It attacks the rook here on d7. Yeah, that pretty much ruins everything, and Miles has enough time to find the move knight e5 and not scare himself about any type of threats, but he missed it. He goes queen a6, which I guess he's using that to stop c4, but the biggest problem I thought was maybe rook to f5. I thought that might have been the biggest problem, is rook f5 hitting the f2 square. Now look at Marcel. I like what Marcel is doing, even though rook f5 was a more direct threat of the pawn on f2. But I like that he's going to play. I thought he should have done this earlier. He's going to play h4 and try to open up the king side, while the queen and the knight are way on the other side of the board. As we see knight e5. What's next here? Do we play? Do we play rook to c7? We have to move the rook somewhere. Rook to d8 or rook c7 attacking c3. He does play that. But I know c4 is coming, but I guess we can just take on c4. No, we cannot take there. We cannot take there. So this is a problem here. Guys, this is a problem. c4 traps the rook on d5. It's not a good move there. And Marcel has 48 seconds in this game left. Miles Muffin has more than 9 minutes. Not looking good for black. Is he going to have to just take this with the knight? Maybe. He gets 2 pieces for it, though. So after knight takes c4, knight takes e4, then you have rook takes d4, and you never know what could happen here. Oh, whoa. Okay, I don't like that because now you're going to see a pin. So that wasn't the... so now there's another pin coming, or another fork. Going to take the rook here, and it's pretty much over now. As white has 2 extra pawns plus 3 passed pawns, count them in a row. This is pretty much going to end things here. Miles Muffin should go on to win that game. All right. Let's go to Ahill versus Determined Octopus. That game was finished and Ahill wins the game. How so? What happened here? Ahill wins that game. Oh, I thought he was down a piece, but maybe he was never down a piece here. Whoa, it's too many. Too many on that. So he's threatening queen e8 check. Didn't allow that. Okay, yes. This was this game here where black was just up more pawns here. Traded off. And look, there's another passed pawn. What's happening here? Oh, traded that. Probably shouldn't have traded that, actually. And now white is going to be able to get to the passed pawn here, and black can't stop it. Wow. And that's how it ends. All right, cool. All right, so let's go to Tall Foamy Angel versus Super Chester. Okay, that is over. Super Chester wins that game. All right, gotta refresh these games here. Gotta refresh. All right, there's only one more game, and that is our marquee matchup: Miles Muffin versus Marcel P007. Marcel has only 20 seconds, and he's down 2 rooks. And here, after f5, he was hoping to trade pieces. But here you can actually just start pushing and actually get another queen. Instead, this makes sense because after queen d7, if king h6, there was rook takes e6. Here, there's queen takes e6, and that should do it. Trading off the pieces here. And they double the rooks here. Probably going to push, get a queen, and finish the job. Probably check here. Oh no, actually check right now. Rook here. Oh, this guy gets a rook here. Oh boy. Okay. And now the king has to move away, and then you have a checkmate with 3 rooks on the board. Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen this checkmate, actually. 3 rooks on the board, triple staircase checkmate. All right, So that should do it for that round, guys. I think that should do it. Yes. So Miles Muffin, Battle of Undefeated. Miles Muffin comes up top. A-Hill 2021 started out 2-0, lost the game, and now is back towards the top. And then Marcel P007 is still there with 3 wins, 1 loss. Super Chester on her way back. One more round to go. Will she play Miles Muffin? And will she have the opportunity to beat or to to stop Miles Muffin? And maybe she can become first place again. Now remember, Super Chester has gotten second place 4 times. All of her tournaments, she's been second place. So I gotta root for her to be first place one time. It's hard to be second place every last tournament. And especially the last one, because when I announced it, I could feel that she might have wanted to kick me when I said she was second place. Sorry, Cicria. So she is now, yep, she's in 4th place. Maybe she will play Miles Muffin. Has she played him yet? No. She hasn't played Miles Muffin yet, and that I think that's the next matchup is Super Chester versus Miles Muffin. So, but right after Super Chester, we have Mark Sheenan, shout out, Tall Foamy Angel, Aiden Frank, Determined Octopus, Puzzle Expert, and Full Happy Season on that first page. We'll be back in about 12 minutes. See you soon.
Hey, I'm Talon, and this is Rumpus, and I'm going to show you how to start an online t-shirt business. Let's go. First, go to Shopify.com and start a free trial. Next, go to the shop.
We did it, my friends. We hit 100,000 subscribers on the Gotham Chess YouTube channel. It's absolutely crazy to me that 5 months ago, in May of 2020, I started making videos consistently on this channel and had about 1,000 subscribers at the very beginning. I can't thank you all enough for all of your support through all this. And I hope to just continue entertaining and educating you as trying to popularize it, but in the span of like 3 months, some random skinny guy from Montreal, Quebec, you know, who play gorilla character in Overwatch, he make it more famous than me. This is probably the most complicated endgame between two grandmasters I have ever seen. There is a queen and a rook versus a queen and a rook, and both sides have pawns coming down the other side of the board. Black plays rook to c8. And how do you stop this pawn? I'm not so sure. Okay, they are repeating now, and if you take, this pawn is promoting, so probably you have to repeat. But now queen to e6, and you are simply losing the rook. He is losing the rook, and now he's lost the queen as well. And that's the end of the game. Wow, complete collapse from white. Chess is a game of unlimited beauty. But it's not just checks and attacks. You have to be creative. Well, that must be a world record. Thanks for the fat 10 gifted subs, Pikachu. My is throbbing. You know, vulgarity aside, Charlie's energy was exhilarating. It reminded me of the Olympiad in the 80s, early 80s it must have been, when we won a cruise.
Welcome back. I am the coach, Brian Wilson of the Implodian presents World Junior Online Tournament. Shout out to our sponsors, Wonderful. You can check out this clothing line at bcwarch.com. You can also register for future tournaments and lessons to become an Implodian at michiganjuniorchessarena.com, michiganjuniorchessarena.com, or contact us at implodianchess@gmail. And check that out. We have a Martin Luther King tournament at michiganjuniorchess.com. You can register for that too. It's free. You just have to register. That's tomorrow at 12 p.m. It'll last around 4 hours. Same time control, 15 minutes with 5-second increment. And there's going to be trophies sent to your home too. That's a free tournament tomorrow on Martin Luther King Day. All you have to do is show up for the ceremony at 11 a.m. We have a singer, a guest speaker, and I'm going to even do a speech myself. So check that out tomorrow, Martin Luther King Day, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's get into these games. The top game is Miles Muffin is playing Super Chester. Oh, man. This is going to be a good game. Super Chester, maybe if she wins this, she would then maybe pass him for first place. I don't know how the tiebreaks are, but it's possible that could happen. Remember, guys, we are not using Lichess tiebreaks, even though I think those tiebreaks they do match up with the USCF tiebreaks, but our tiebreaks are modified median, and then Soloff tiebreaks is number 2, and the third one I don't remember, but those tiebreaks will be listed there. So USCF tiebreaks are going to be used, so don't be surprised if you see a placement on Lichess screen that's not the same, even though I do think Lichess tiebreaks are pretty much the same. So just letting you guys know. And right after this tournament, I'm going to put up the standings actually right after the tournament, so don't go anywhere, stay on the channel, and I will post those results in in on this video, and also put those results on the website in the chat for the Implodians Club or Implodians group channel or group page on LeeChess.org. You can also find those standings at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com too, so you know. And then those standings, updated standings that will be put on that website, will show who won the trophy for what grade, and it'll break it down. So right now, today, you will know who is first, second, and third place. As long as there's no improper play, we will rate this tournament today. So you check your rating in about a couple hours. So if we finish at 3:30, you probably want to check that around 5 or 6 p.m. unless there's some fair play issues there. But we play fair. There's no cheating in these tournaments, because all of these kids that play in the World Junior Online Tournament, they take it serious. They know they can't get better by cheating or there's no quick way to get better. It's all about hard work, and I know these kids work hard, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. All right, so we're watching Miles Muffin versus Super Chester. Miles Muffin has the black pieces. Super Chester has white. And here, Miles Muffin is doing a good job because Miles is down in space, but Miles has made a couple of trades to make the space not so effective. We talked about that earlier, I think in round 1, about the differences and the imbalance of space. And this pawn on d4 controls a lot of space, but is not as effective once you trade some pieces. As we see, knight takes e4. Black is still better here. But white does have the pair of bishops, and that is another imbalance that we can talk about. The bishops are really good when they're side by side together on open diagonals where pawns don't block their pathway. When you have the two bishops, you want to trade as many pawns as possible to open the position, because the bishops need open space to move across the board. As we see the move b5, I guess this is to stop the move c4. It doesn't stop it. So I'm wondering what his plan is here, because it doesn't actually stop the move c4. But maybe his plan is to allow c4 and then to play rook to b8, attacking the b2 bishop. We see h3. Probably is a good idea to keep this pin on bishop h5. And another reason why b5 was played by Miles Muffin is I believe he wants to get a square for his knight on d5. The problem is c4 still will kick the knight off here, but maybe his plan is actually not to stay on d5, but to go to the more advanced square f4. And actually, that is an excellent square to go to if he can do this. He pulled this off, knight to d5 and knight f4. That's a nice square. So white plays c4, stopping knight d5. So that's a really good move by Super Chester. So we should expect the move b takes c4, b takes c4, and then maybe rook b8, where you get the open b file plus a tempo at the same time. Instead, he plays bishop b4. This makes sense. You're attacking the rook on e1. And white definitely, see, white doesn't want to trade, so he doesn't want to play moves like knight c3 or bishop to c3, where there's a trade that's going to happen. But then again, if he plays something like, he does play bishop g3, probably rook to e3 was a better move to play here. But now Miles Muffin is going to be able to trade another piece. But the good thing about Miles Muffin this time is he didn't drop his queen. He still has his queen. That's been his strategy in 2 of his 4 victories, is just to just sacrifice his queen or just blunder the queen first. And then once he blunders the queen, then he reaches deep down inside and pulls out his ability. I don't think that's what he means to do, but he has came back in 2 games down a queen. So we see that Miles Muffin trades the pieces here. Might as well go bishop takes f3 too, because he has to take with the g pawn. Why? Because the queen defends d4. So if he takes with the queen here, then there will be queen takes d4 here. You will get a little bit of initiative with rook to d1, as he does take on f3. Queen takes, and then rook takes queen takes d4, and then maybe rook to d1. The queen has to go back somewhere, but there is a b5 pawn hanging, so he probably has to take on c4 first. That's how we do it. That's how you do it. You take on c4 first. He did do that. And I wonder what he's thinking about now. You probably have to go b takes c4 because you don't want to allow the knight to go to d5 here by black. But black is, I would say black is better in this position here. Miles Muffin against Super Chester. Super Chester thinks we're going to go around the world here at the World Junior Online Chess Tournament. Let's look at A. Hill, who is currently ranked in the second place as far as Lichess is concerned. This position, 6 pawns each. Looks like there is a rook. In-game 2 rooks and a bishop for each side. The biggest imbalance is this pawn on d5 for Alex Hill. This pawn on d5 isn't the best pawn here, so that is something he has to watch here. There is a backwards pawn on c3 that also has to be watched for white. Bishop to e5 was played here, so you have to play king g8 to stay connected to the rook. Okay, so he played king f8, even better. So after rook takes f7, king takes f7, and we're going to play f4. F4. So the rook can come into play on the F file. Okay, here he plays A4 here. Don't understand why that's a move. Plays rook E1. Discovery check here. Oh, now what? Look at black's king. So Alex Hill is, in a lot of his games, he is specializing in bringing the king into the game in the end game. He has taken that information and ran with it in his games. Having an active king, he's down a piece. Look at the pressure he's putting on c3. His king is much better. But the problem is he had to play g4 because now he's going to lose material. See, what happened is he didn't look at the check. He had to play g4. He was rushing, trying to find an attack here, but boom, there it goes. And now that's a problem. Now he can get the piece back. No, I'm sorry. He can't get the piece back because of bishop to b4. He has bishop to... Luckily, he has to move bishop to e7. But then there is rook to e8, and he does get the piece back. That is some luck if I ever seen it. Look at rook e8. He's going to get the piece back because the rook on e1 is... The bishop is pinned to the rook on e1. You move the bishop away, rook takes e1. Wow. And Alex will get the piece back. And with an active king, because what Alex wants to do, now this is the problem that white has. Because after these trades, if you go into a king, just a straight king and pawn endgame, there is a passed pawn that could be created far away from white's king. With just a simple pawn sacrifice. b5, pawn takes, and then start pushing, and the king cannot catch it. So white has... Now look at that there. This is a big time blunder. Rook takes e1 check. That's a big time blunder. That is a big blunder there. Now I wonder if... Now we can keep this rook, but should we even keep this rook? No, he should take the bishop. Because after king takes rook, you push, he moves, push. Oh, he makes it there just in time. Take, no. Yes, he makes it there just in time. Take here, king takes, and then you're in, the pawn will be here, and this is the box. Remember, guys, don't ever calculate if you can catch the pawn by saying, I go here, he goes there, I go here. Don't do that. Just draw a box, starting from the square you want a queen to the pawn, and that box you can get in. And what did he do there? So he displays rook to Wow, Alex Hill has came back from oh my goodness. These games here, these kids here have showed some resilience, and it's weird today because there's been some blunders. Some players are not playing as good as they usually would. So this is it's been very interesting here. As we're gonna see the move rook takes c3. Oh man, this is winning for black. This is winning for black. As he plays bishop to h6, there's going to be the move g4 here because the pawn is pinned here. He selected not to play g4, and he allows the pass pawn of f4. The f pawn is now a pass pawn here, even though he's going to be able to play rook takes d4, get his own pass d pawn. But you don't want to cast a winning disease. I warn you guys about that winning disease here. See, he's greedy. He's taking more pawns. He has to watch out here. Of course, black is easily winning at this point, but I am just not liking the quickness of Ahil, the moves that he's making. It seems like he is starting to cough. And what I mean by cough, not literally, but cough means he's catching the winning disease here. Now, he might be winning by so much, it doesn't matter. Okay, so there you go. So he makes sure that pawn doesn't get through. That's nice here. Plays rook to f. And then now he's just going to try to queen the pawn here. Probably going to see the move. Okay. So I actually think you can even give up the rook, but you probably should not do that. You could play probably rook to f7, if king to b3, then king to e8. And you would never get past the light squares because your opponent has a dark square bishop. So that shouldn't be a problem. Ahil has over 3 minutes more time than his opponent here. He's using his time now, which is correct. Using his 13-minute time advantage here. He can spend 3 minutes on this move, even 10 minutes on this move, but he chooses to do a sacrifice here, and yes, he's going to get the queen. He is going to get the queen, but he has to really watch out here. So here, see, this is what I mean by winning disease. He's making it hard on himself. He did not have to sacrifice the rook. Here, he could play the move he can play the move f7, and after queen, he can move the bishop here to h6. And it's not so easy to stop the queen after bishop to h6. It's not easy. Now, black is going to get a lot of checks here. The queen to... No, he did it that way. I don't like how he did that way. But if the king takes, there will be a queen check at least. But then there's going to be a check coming here. Queen f1, and then once you go king to g6, the bishop is hanging, so that was not a good decision by Mark Scheening there. Now after king g6, all he has to do now, he did it a different way. He plays king g5, and now you just play queen takes f7. That should be game over, and Ahil should go ahead on to win this game with a queen and 2 pawns versus the bishop. Let's go to another game. Okay, as we refresh here, we have 4 games left. Johnny Stick versus Taste the Pace here. We see material is even here, 7 pawns for each side. The big imbalance is the bishop pair that Taste the Pace has, and looks like he's going to be able to play. He's threatening the move d4. Johnny Stick is looking. Should he play d4 himself? That's what he's looking now. Should he move the knight to e2 and move that away? Or should he actually, now it looks like he could just take here on c5. B takes c5, B takes e5, and then bishop takes c5 hits the rook in the corner. So Johnny could win a pawn here, actually. He could win a pawn with b takes c5. But also Johnny is looking at this knight hanging on c3 as well. So that is also a problem. Say the move knight to g4, and then the bishop is attacking the knight. The knight is pinned to the queen, to the rook here. So there's a lot of issues for Johnny Stick. Now Johnny Stick has a minute left. What is happening here? He only has a minute left on the clock in this position, and now it's below a minute. I don't know. Maybe he disconnected. Now in their season, in their career standings against each other, Taste of Pace has played Johnny Stick one time, and that resulted in a win by Taste of Pace. Johnny Stick has only 35 seconds here. Maybe he has disconnected. Wow, Johnny Stick is running out of time here. Wow, he must have disconnected. That's the unfortunate part about playing online, guys. You know, gotta have a good connection. And so Johnny Stick loses on time, unfortunately. I believe he had to run out of, had a bad connection or something there. All right, so let's refresh this here. There's 2 games going on here. We got to get back now. We're gonna check in on Tall Foamy Angel. We see Tall Foamy Angel versus Full Happy Season. Full Happy Season. My homeboy Alex Wayne, Full Happy Season, and my partner Nathan Zhang, Tall Foamy Angel. And we see that White just has too many pawns here. Too many pawns. And so White should go ahead to win that game. So we'll go to our marquee matchup. And it's a reason why our marquee matchup is still playing, because the strongest players take more time. Wow, look at what's happening here. It is Black is up a pawn here, and we see the move. What is happening here? Oh my goodness, look at that move there. Knight to, wow. Look at this move here. Black plays knight to e2. And that probably will do it, because the rook is hanging on e1. You're gonna have to trade here. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna have to trade your rook for a knight. So that's what he has to do. He has to go rook takes e2, queen takes e2, and then queen takes c5. And there's gonna be a rook versus a knight. But the knight, there's going to be a passed pawn on c4. So there is some possibility of still being able to have a good game here. Wait, whoa. He played... Whoa. So he played it a different way. It's still 4 pawns versus 5 pawns here. We probably can expect to see rook to c4. Maybe knight to d6 protects the pawn on c4. Still some game to be played here as we see the move knight to e4. And the reason why he does that is he stops the move knight to d6 protecting c4. So his next move, Black's plan is to play rook to c2. All right, so here White just gets active. It allows rook to c2, but wants to see if he could probably play active with the rook, or maybe bring the knight here and attack some weaknesses on the 7th rank. For instance, maybe rook to d8 and then rook f2 hits the f7 pawn. But then you're going to have king g6. The f7 pawn will be defended. The c4 pawn is being attacked right now. The only way I could see defending that is knight to... You really can't do that. Knight to a3, you can try this. But then after rook to c3, you're hitting the knight and the pawn on e3, so it doesn't look good. And he chooses knight to a3. I don't think that was the correct choice. Should have chosen to give this pawn up just for activity. Just for some activity. So now rook c3 should be the plan here. Miles Muffin have 7 minutes. Super Chester has 6 minutes left. These two have played each other before, one time before. Miles Muffin won the previous encounter between these two. Super Chester has a online quick rating of 1346, and Miles Muffin's online quick rating is 1144, but that's provisional because he hasn't played a right amount of games yet to have an official rating just yet. As we see, rook to d8 check, and then maybe the move knight to b5, allowing the capture of c4. Oh, no. Okay, so what he does there is he protects the knight on a3, but then allows the capture of the pawn on e3. No, first he checks here. So what's going on here? So looks like Miles Muffin is looking to pin the knight to the rook. That's why this was played here. So he can play rook to a1. Or maybe he thought there was a mating net. There's no mating net here. You can make a mating net. So what black needs to do to make the mating net is to push the pawn. There it goes. I was just going to say that. He's going to push the pawn to h4, stick a knight on g3, and then put a rook on h1. Problem though, we can play g3 ourselves, even though that would lose a piece. There it goes. You can... Oh, plays king g6. Had the setup that he wanted here with the move h4 and knight g3. Okay, so what's happening here? We have rook to b. Rook to b7. h4 will be coming. There's h4. Now the next plan is to bring the knight to g3, and once that knight goes to g3, cancel Christmas. It's over. So you have to do something about that now. Maybe play rook to b1. There it goes. So she did find rook to b1. That saves her for now. Maybe rook to a3 or c3, hitting the knight. There it goes. Hitting the pawn on e3 plus the knight as well. Will he play rook a1? This knight, nope. Instead he gets active here. Allows rook takes c4. But rook takes c4 gives black a passed c-pawn now. Super Chester has 5 minutes left here. Plays rook f1. Just getting an open file here. Probably going to see the move knight to g3. Hits the rook. You got to stay on this back rank because the threat of checkmate with rook to c1 and then rook to h1 checkmate. So if knight g3 plays the move e5 here. And I guess that's stopping rook f4. That's the purpose of that move, which would pin there. All right, we'll come back to this game here. This is definitely a winning game for Miles Muffin. As we see the move knight to c7 here, going to so Super Chester is fighting, and eventually it's going to get down to some time issues for both sides in that game. So she wants to hang on just in case. Okay, so this is the last game left, so we go back to that. As we see rook c2, just moving the rook out of the way so the passed pawn can proceed. And really, black has Super Chester tied up. The g3 square. This knight is untouchable. There's a passed pawn coming here. Can't prevent that from moving. The knight is just not in a square that we wanted to go to. I wonder if it would have been better. No. We would love for this knight to be on like g4 or c6 or d7. And maybe we can grab this e5 pawn. If we can grab this e5 pawn, we might have something, even though the pawn is easily guarded with f6. So this is just great play. Look at that. f6. This is just good play by black. Very accurate. Oh, there's a check here. Now white might have some activity here. Threatening knight f5. Taking this pawn on h4. So black actually probably can still go to king f7. And if knight f5 here, knight f5 looks like it's a mistake, actually. Because after knight f5, there will be g5 here. The knight is strong, but the knight really doesn't have any good squares to go to, even though it's on the weak square. So knight f5, g5. But where are you going to put this knight? Now, maybe he's planning on playing g3, and then there will be some trades there on the g3 square. But right now, the pawn on g2 is pinned. This knight on f5 is just not on a great square. Okay, so now I see maybe knight h6 to g4. Maybe that's a better square. Maybe that's still not a great square. All right, so instead he chooses to, but see, the main problem is, where does he go if we go king to e6? But white is choosing to stay active here, which is probably a good decision by Super Chester. Staying active. But Super Chester has to remember knight g3 is a problem on the back rank where when rook c1 is concerned here. So has to watch out for that. I wonder if he trades the knights now and brings the rook. Okay, definitely does that. So Super Chester does do that. Now, Super Chester is down 2 pawns here. And so, of course, Miles Muffin is winning this game. But winning this game is not won. It's a big difference between the two. So after these trades here, Super Chester wants to bring her rook behind the passed pawn, possibly bringing the king closer to the passed pawn and maybe surrounding the passed pawn. But while that all happens, there will be a passed pawn created on the king side. So that's why it's easily won, a one game for Miles Muffin. That's why I say easily won game. That doesn't mean it is actually won. Plays the move e4 here. Wow, so after rook to d4, attacks the pawn on e4, but then f5 could be played. Whoa, wait, what? No, so that drops a pawn, guys. So rook takes e4, and there's enough time to get right behind the pawn. That was a quick move by Miles Muffin. So the time that has whittled down has affected Miles Muffin. So now Miles is only at 1 pawn, and in a lot of rook in games, guys, let me tell you something. That is a draw. In a lot of rook in games, even a pawn is not enough. That's why it's important to study your rook in games, especially one rook. Especially the one rook in game. Okay, so now white has to put that pawn that rook behind the pawn here. We're gonna play c2. The worst thing you could do is bring the king to h1 or g1 because there will be a check and a queen the next move, and you're gonna have to sacrifice your rook for the queen. Now he's gonna have to find white Sriya Mishra or Super Chester is gonna have to find a way to man. It's gonna have to find a way because the white king can't move. The king cannot go to g3. King cannot move at all. So there's gonna be a zugzwang position happening here because there's nothing to move. There's nothing to move. If white could leave the position where it is, then white would be perfectly fine with that. Maybe king e5 and then back to f. Yep, back to f5. But once he plays king to f4, it's a problem now. It's a big time problem because the rook has to move somewhere. And the rook has to stay on the c file or a queen is going to appear. So there it goes. f4 is played. And guys, this is it. It's a zugzwang. Anywhere the rook moves, the king will take the e4 pawn. And the rook has to stay on the same. And then there's the blunder because you can't allow the check because the queen is going to show up. And that was the move. You can't move the king. So after rook to d1 check, we're going to see king h2 or king f2. But then a queen is going to show up on the board. And black is winning this game. Super Chester could actually resign this game here. She's hoping for a perpetual check, maybe? Hoping for this perpetual check. I do not see that happening. So there's just a rook here. We're going to see rook to c3, cutting the king off. Oh, nope. Rook check here. Maybe even f5 check. Which would, and then taking the pawn on h5. There it goes. And then rook takes here. King g. And then, then Miles is just going to push the pawn here. She does take the rook here, but then there's a check here. Sad for Super Chester. Rooting for her to get her first championship at the World Junior Online. It doesn't look like it's going to be today unless something happens crazy. Miles Muffin wins that. And Miles Muffin, as far as we know, as long as fair play is assessed, Miles Muffin is our champion. World Junior Online. And I don't know if Miles has won a championship before. I think maybe one. I'm not sure. Have to check that out again. But Miles Muffin is the champion here. He wins the World Junior Online number 6 championship, undefeated, 5 wins, no losses. Now, we don't know who number 2 or number 3 is right now. We do not know this. These tiebreaks usually hold true. If these tiebreaks are true, then A-Hill 2021 will be number 1, and Marcel P007 will be the 3rd place finisher here. I will be back. It's going to take me about 5 minutes, and we will figure out who is our top 3. We know Miles Muffin is there, but let's figure out who is the rest in the top 3 of the World Junior Online Tournament. We will be right back here. All right, guys. Okay, we are back here, and let's look at the standings here. Make it a little bit bigger. Make sure you guys can see that there. Okay. Okay, so first place, of course, is Miles Kaplan, and that's Miles Muffin. And second place is Alex Hill. And in third place is Marcel Pedraza. Marcel Pedraza here. And that was pretty evident. So Alex Hill beats the tiebreak. The first tiebreak, they were tied, but second tiebreak with the Sokov tiebreak, Alex Hill edges Marcel Pedraza for first, second, and third place. You look down below that, you have Mark Sheenan, Sasriya Mishra, Alex Wang, Adyath Saral, Elbert Park, Ria Desai, Nathan Zhang, Aiden Franklin, Shavant Sashi Jayadeva, Jonathan Bird, Ethan Chin, Sumava Basu, Sumava, and Ohad Wong right there. So you see your tie breaks there. You see your total score. Those are our standings. And so trophies will come based off of what we see here in these tie breaks. Also, trophies will all be sent out in the beginning of February. That saves on shipping costs. So if you play in multiple tournaments here at World Junior Online, in your mail, you're going to get multiple trophies if you win multiple trophies in the World Junior Online tournaments in January. So in that beginning of February, you could receive a box full of new customized trophy with your name on those trophies in the section that you won. So congratulations to our champion, Miles Kaplan, which is Miles Muffin today, and all the kids that have played today in the World Junior Online. Remember, tomorrow is the Martin Luther King Day tournament. You can find registration for that on MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. It's free. All you have to do is participate in the ceremony where there's a guest speaker, a singer, and even I'm going to give a speech about Martin Luther King tomorrow. And that's at the same time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, as our World Junior Online tournament. It's the same exact format. It's just tomorrow on Monday. And you can register for all the future tournaments in January at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com as well. And check out the clothing line, wonderful clothing line at BCW Arts. That's our sponsor. Really nice clothing line, unique logos. Just go online and you'll be impressed with what you see. BCWArts.com, BCWArts.com. All right, and that wraps up the World Junior Online number 6. Next Sunday, or this coming Sunday, will be number 7. Make sure you register for that right away. And I will see you then next Sunday. And for all the participants of the World Junior Online and the Implodians, I am Coach Brian Wilson, Implodian out.